Forbes Books presents Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow. Transformation for a new and better world. Here's David.
Welcome back to the second part of my conversation with Scott Svenson, the co-founder and CEO of Mod Pizza. Before founding Mod, he built and sold fast casual coffee chain Seattle Coffee Company to Starbucks, and now he's focused on the pizza space. Scott, you can't do a business podcast these days without talking about COVID. During the pandemic, you successfully opened dozens of new stores in 2020. In terms of metrics and management, where does revenue look like by distribution segment, in-store compared to delivery, curbside pickup, or drive-through, catering, and other alternative channels? And what do you see coming out of the pandemic?
Yeah, so going into the pandemic, we were primarily an on-premise brand. We really celebrated that experience in the store, that human connection, that community gathering place. Those were the things that really set Mod apart. We did have a healthy and growing both off-premise business and digital business. But when the pandemic hit just about a year ago now, and we had to close all of our dining rooms, we knew that to be able to serve people long-term, we had to survive. And to survive, we had to shift to really focusing on building those muscles of delivering the Mod experience off-premise through our digital platform. And so we opened up a bunch of new channels, whether or not that was really doubling down on our delivery service. We had worked with one third-party delivery provider, DoorDash, and we added two more, literally within a couple of weeks of the pandemic closing our dining rooms. We added curbside pickup. We invested in heavily our digital platform for online ordering and in-store pickup and all the other ways that people could still get access to Mod without being able to come in and sit and enjoy the experience in our dining rooms. That was a challenge in the moment, but it has proven to be a bit of a gift in that it's set us up incredibly well coming out of the pandemic, because I'm a big believer that when people feel comfortable getting out again, there's so much pent-up demand for people that want to be in the community, in restaurants, connecting in person, celebrating in a way that they haven't been able to over the last year. We play very well to that. That's the role we've played in all of our communities in the past. But now on top of that, we'll be able to provide people that Mod experience through delivery, through curbside pickup, through a very slick online ordering and in-store pickup solution, and other channels that make the Mod experience easily accessible and convenient. Now, 70-80% of our business was on-premise before the pandemic. That will continue to be the predominant way I think people enjoy Mod in the future, but it will be a smaller percentage going forward. So the mix, as you say, has shifted and will continue to evolve over time. But I still believe that people want to be able to get out in their communities and connect with their family and friends and have a place to gather and to celebrate. And we will continue to be that place in the communities that we support.
As you grow with this sustainable message, have you looked at and are embracing at all any type of menu development changes, big or small, in order to meet the customer's need and in order to increase revenue and category units?
Well, sure. So our one of the nice things about Mod is that our menu is very focused. We provide primarily an 11-inch thin crust artisan style pizza with any combination of toppings you want on it, made in front of you and cooked super fast, all for one price. So our typical price, and it varies around the country, is about $8 for this 11-inch beautiful pizza that you get anything on it that you want. In addition to that, we have handmade salads that are made in a similar way, right in front of you, personalized to exactly what you want, super high quality ingredients, all for one price. So whether or not you get one topping or 12 or 20, we don't nickel and dime you. That is our core offering. And we have fabulous drinks, and we have a dessert called a no-name cake, which is like a super gourmet ding dong. So we have a very tight focus menu. That being said, we will over time explore thoughtful extensions to that. We will never have a broad, long menu that is complicated. We'll always be a super focused restaurant that focuses on quality and consistency over depth of the menu. But to your question, there are opportunities for us to continue to expand the menu a little bit and add some other elements that we think customers will love that fit very tightly around what we currently do. And we spent a lot of time thinking about how do we explore those areas, and how do we make Mod an even better experience for people, both on premise and off premise. And so watch this space. We have some things that we're working on that we're really excited about. Nothing that we're ready to announce just yet, but you are right. I think there will be a few areas where we can lean in a little bit further to some new menu items.
Okay, great. That ties into your future expansion effort, looking like in terms of channels of distribution, stores people, and how you balance between corporate stores and franchisees.
Yeah, so the thing about Mod is that we are approaching our 500th store. So we have just under 500 stores today. 80 to 85% of those stores today are company owned. We do have an amazing, super high quality group of franchisees. We have 9 franchise partners that we selected very carefully as being operators who could help us expand into certain parts of the country, who are established, highly successful operators who bring something to Mod that will make us a better company, and who buy into and really understand our unique culture and purpose. And so we're very lucky to have them, and we will continue to add very selectively new franchisees. But our franchise company owned mix will stay in that 80-20, maybe 70-30 mix. We'll always be a predominantly company owned brand. We had been growing at almost 100 stores a year for several years. During the pandemic, when we had to pivot and really focus on taking care of our people, keeping people safe, we stopped our growth for a period of time last year. And as we got into the summer, we slowly started to open up our growth pipeline again. We ended up opening 23, 24 stores last year. And we have an intention of opening up a similar number of stores this year as we kind of lean back into re-accelerating our growth. And I think you'll find that as we run through this year and into 2022, we're going to get right back into the same levels and same momentum of growth that we had in the past. We see that the opportunities in front of us are, frankly, more exciting and more attractive than the opportunities behind us. And the team's, frankly, never been more excited about the future than they are today. And that includes continuing to grow at a rate that's consistent with the past.
That's impressive. You're independently recognized for going out of your way to take initiatives when it comes to treating your employees right on an incremental, consistent basis. For example, in March, your company announced it is offering up to 4 hours paid time for its squad members to receive COVID-19 vaccine. At what point in your career did you realize that it was important to take care of the people on your team?
Well, all the way back to when we started Seattle Coffee Company, we knew culture was critical, and we knew we wanted to treat people in a way that we would want to be treated if we were employees of the company. And so that's always been a central tenet of how we've approached the business. I will tell you, we really doubled down on that with Mod. And the context for Allie and I was that we have 4 boys. The lens we used was, imagine sending one of your children off for their first day at a new job. And you're literally handing over your child to this company. And that company is going to have a big impact on them in terms of the way they treat them, the culture that they're working in, the beliefs and practices, the people around them, how they're taken care of. And we wanted to make sure that we were treating all of our employees just like we would want our boys treated if they were going to work at a company. And that's been a lens that we've kept in front of us since we started the company. And we've tried to find different ways to do that. You just mentioned coming through the pandemic, it was a fabulous time to really meditate on who we are, what we stand for, at a time when the business was being disrupted and economically we were feeling some pain. it would have been a really easy time to back away from some of the previous commitments we'd made. But instead, we leaned further into it. And listen, that's the right thing to do, but there's also a business imperative, which is our business is run by our people. And if they're feeling taken care of, if they're feeling like that they are our priority, they will show up and they'll take care of the business. And we've seen that happen over and over again, where by doing the right thing for them, they do the right thing for the business. Here's a simple example. We've always had as a benefit that if you work at Mod while you're on shift, you get a free meal. Might not sound like a big deal, but in our industry, that's a very generous benefit. Typically, you get a discount of some sort. We give you a free meal. When the pandemic happened, we had to close some stores temporarily, and we had to cut back hours in others when our dining rooms closed. As a result, we were very concerned that our squad not suffer. So we took that free meal benefit and we expanded it and said, not only do you get a free meal when you're on shift, but if you work at Mod, you can come into Mod anytime and you can bring your entire family. And if you're in need of a meal, we'll feed you for free, no questions asked, at any time. Because we didn't want anybody on our team ever to go without a meal or ever to be hungry at a time when everybody was managing through the stress and strain of the pandemic. We thought that we would have that benefit out during the worst of the pandemic, and then we would revert to our old approach. And what we found was no one on our team took advantage of it. It was used when it was needed. And our team showed us through their actions that you can trust people to do the right thing, and they will. And in this particular case, that happened. And so we have made that policy or that approach permanent. So if you work at Mod, if you ever need a meal, and you don't need to prove it, you just need to come in to a store, you can bring your entire family, and we'll feed you for free. That was one of the small things that came through the pandemic that just reminded us that, one, sometimes it's scary to step off the curb to do something that you know is right, but that might be expensive or inconvenient. And quite often, this is a great example. You realize not only is it the right thing to do, but it works. It engages people. People know you're the type of company and brand that is working hard to do the right thing. We might not get it right all the time, but we really are trying to treat our people the right way. And there are many other examples of other things we've done. We have a thing called the Bridge Fund, which is an emergency relief fund where we put money into it, our employees put money into it. And if you're an employee and you ever have a personal crisis where you need some money for a medical emergency or a family emergency or a housing issue, you can come and within a very short period of time, apply for and receive a grant of up to $2,000. Because too many people in our country live paycheck to paycheck. Too many people in our country, if they had an unexpected $400 expense, would not have the money to be able to handle it. And so we wanted to make sure that if you're part of the Mod family, that we had your back. And if that type of an emergency arose for you, you had a place to turn. So it's little things like that that we have tried to introduce to our culture that we think differentiate us. And that over time, you'll see through in terms of the way our squad, our employees show up for our customers and the experience they deliver. And the reason why they'll show up and deliver that extraordinary experience is because of all these little things that we've tried to do for them to send them the message that they're important to us and that we're here for them and we have their back.
That's really creative, and the fact that you scale to that is just wonderful and kept it. It wasn't intentional, but you're the second person on the podcast that went into business with their partner and had blockbuster success. Tell me about your Allie and what she means to you and the company and how you synergistically work together in business and in life.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the real gift that I feel like I have been given in my life, which is, one, the opportunity to share the journey with Allie, my wife and business partner and best friend and my high school sweetheart. And we decided early on that if we had an opportunity to, we would try to find a way to work together, because you spend so much time working, you might as well share it with the people you love. And we were given that opportunity with Seattle Coffee Company, and we have worked together ever since. And we benefit from the fact that there's a lot of mutual respect, and we have very complementary styles and approaches to things. So she does things that I could never do. She has instincts and insights that I don't. And similarly, I can do some things that she is not as good at or is drawn to. And so we make a good team, and being able to share my life with her, but also share the journey of building businesses and holding each other accountable to make sure we're showing up to do our best work. Mod has really been the culmination of our life's work, where all these entrepreneurial endeavors and these businesses that we've either helped start or we've been investors in and advisors to, we've brought all of that together and said, let's see if we can, bring all of those lessons and learnings and apply it in this business and really build a business that makes the world a better place. And we've kept raising the bar. We've had a very high bar, but we've kept raising it. And we've built a team that's committed to it, that's frankly more talented, more experienced, and more capable in these areas than we are. And now we just get the joy of being a part of this incredible journey with this incredible group of people. And the fact that we were able to do it together is magic. It's the thing that really makes all of the hard work and the sacrifice, which inevitably there is when you're building a startup, worthwhile.
Okay, according to your experience, do you think we are reaching a tipping point where companies are really integrating sustainability in their strategy?
Yes, I think that people are realizing that the purpose of business and capitalism in general is not just to generate a profit, but that it is to contribute to society, contribute to your communities in a way that's positive. And that can be, you can do that in so many different ways, which is what's so magical about business and capitalism. But ultimately, you've got to be thinking about the impact that you're making. It's impossible to build a sustainable business in a way that doesn't look after the health and well being of the community upon which you are relying for the success of your business. It has to be a shared value approach. And I think people get that now, whether or not you're focused on the environment, social issues, or otherwise. There are so many ways that companies can give back and be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. I think people get that these days. I think it's an important part of the conversation. And I think more and more entrepreneurs are embracing this. And I think companies are going to be better, not only companies, but our communities and our society will be better as a result.
What's the most difficult part about being a successful leader?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think being a good leader in some ways is easy, and in some ways is incredibly difficult. And they're probably two sides of the same coin. It's easy if you're pursuing a worthy, meaningful end, and you're consistent with living the values and beliefs in a way that's authentic and consistent. And on the one hand, that can be very easy to keep it simple and focused. On the other hand, it's so hard to do that day to day, week to week. That's probably the thing that I find the most challenging, is just showing up in a way for my team where I am doing my best to help them be their best, and being consistent in reminding people of why we exist and how we want to show up, and making sure all the decisions that we're making are leading us in that direction. It is a simple context or construct, but it's very hard to do in practice, particularly when you're presented with opportunities or challenges that tempt you with shortcuts or with compromises. And being a leader, you've got to stay consistent. People are looking to you, the decisions you make, the words you speak, they are looking for the consistency and the authenticity. And I think it's both easy in concept and incredibly challenging in practice.
Scott, how important are your philanthropic pursuits? Tell me about spreading modness, the ripple effect of simply doing the right thing.
Well, it's interesting. If I think the headline answer to that question is, we don't really think of our activities as philanthropic. We think about making a positive social impact and using our business as a platform to serve people as just core to who we are. It's not a strategy, it's not an initiative, it's just part of our being, our reason for being. And so it's integral. If we couldn't use the business to help people, to serve people, to make our communities and our society a better place, then we would go do something else.
In your view, what characterize a sustainable or sustainable leader in terms of traits? For example, What skills are essential in transforming into a new and better world?
Oh, I think if you're going to be a leader, an entrepreneur, a business builder, and you want to do so in an impactful, purposeful way, then you need to have a vision for how you can use your business to make a difference, to make an impact. And so having that clarity of purpose, that clarity of vision, I think is an integral trait. It's an integral part of being a purposeful leader. And then you need to be able to translate that into action. It's not enough to have an idea. You've got to be able to develop a plan and then execute the plan in a way that brings it to life. But I think I do see people who are trying to take this purposeful approach to business, and they're trying to gloss over their business and use it as a marketing campaign. Or I don't think that works. It has to be sincere and authentic for it to be sustainable. That's an incredibly important trait if you want to be a purposeful, impactful leader.
Scott, I want to thank you very much. I really enjoyed this conversation. You educated us in leadership growth mindset, execution, and how to build bridges between incubation, acceleration, sustainability, and impactful purpose.
Well, David, thank you for having me. I always enjoy talking about Mod, and I appreciate the opportunity to connect with you and to share the story.
To connect with David, go to davidradlow.com. David's book, Principles of Cartel Disruption, Accelerate and Maximize Performance, is now available wherever books are sold. This has been Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow, a presentation of Forbes Books.